What is the Arkell-Kieseritzky Gambit in the Ruy Lopez? Have you ever come across the term Arkell-Kieseritzky Gambit? It sounds intriguing, but it is not a recognized opening in chess literature. Let's break this down together. The Null Gambit is typically linked to the King's Gambit, which starts with one pawn to e4, followed by e5 and f4. This gambit is all about aggressive play and quick development. Now in the Ruy Lopez, which begins with one pawn to e4, followed by e5, knight to f3, and knight to c6, gambits are not as common. However, there are some interesting gambit lines within this opening. For instance, the Gajewski Gambit starts with one pawn to e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, pawn to a6, bishop to a4, knight to f6, castling, pawn to b5, and then bishop to b3, where black sacrifices a pawn for active piece play. Another example is the Konikowski Gambit, which goes one pawn to e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5, bishop to c5, and then pawn to c3. This line aims for immediate central counterplay. Now, if we think about the Arkell-Kieseritzky Gambit as a hypothetical blend, it might involve an early pawn sacrifice in the Ruy Lopez to capture the aggressive spirit of the Null Gambit. Imagine a line that starts with one pawn to e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and then a speculative pawn to d4. After the exchange, castling could follow, aiming to open lines and develop pieces rapidly. While this idea is not a standard theoretical path, it could be an exciting way to surprise your opponent. Gambits in the Ruy Lopez are less common than classical lines, but they can disrupt black's pawn structure and accelerate piece activity. For example, the Marshall Gambit, which occurs in the closed Ruy Lopez, involves a pawn sacrifice with d5 to create dynamic counterplay. Players who enjoy gambits often look for surprise value and tactical opportunities rather than strict theoretical soundness. In summary, while the Arkell-Kieseritzky Gambit is not officially recognized, the concept of merging aggressive gambit play with the Ruy Lopez can appeal to players looking for imbalanced positions. If you are considering experimenting with gambits, stick to established lines like the Gajewski or Marshall Gambits unless you want to try something unconventional. Remember to ensure that any gambit aligns with the positional demands of the game.